You guys want to watch something on Netflix about a stranded ship? This one's called Trainwreck Poop Cruise. I'll read the plot synopsis, and this one is only 55 minutes long. So, this is another documentary on Netflix, and it's well done. You remember that cruise ship that lost its power, caught on fire a few years back? I don't know what year that was, but I remember they were stranded out there for a few days, and all the electricity went out. So they didn't have no electricity, they had no power. So all the toilets and stuff was backing up, so they couldn't use the restroom. And so they also had to poop in these red poop bags. And so uh, it was a floating petri dish. Passengers and crew recall their chaotic time at the sea in this raw retelling of the Great Poop Cruise accident of 2013. I remember this, man. This freaking this thing this thing caught on fire. There was a fire in the engine, and at first the lights didn't go off. Everything was fine at first, And again, this is another one of those they put you know the the people that had cell phones, they put it together and stuff. So they're interviewing some of these people that went through this stuff, but the power went off. It showed people dancing and stuff, but I was watching this, man. I'm just gonna put it out there, man. There was some fine women on that ship. I was sitting there watching that. I said, I ain't gonna take no cruise or nothing like that. I was like, man, there's a lot of hot chicks on there. I, damn. I know if I was on that ship, I would bring out the old Victor on that ship because I was like, damn, man, some of them women on there was looking pretty smoking hot. And I'm talking about all kind of ages, man, and they were dancing and getting all sexy. I'm like, man, that'd be so. It shows. At first, they checked out they put the fire out. The electricity came back on, so they were fine. They just had to figure out how to get. They had to get tugboats to tug them in and all that kind of stuff. But all of a sudden, the power went out. So they tried to get the power back on, and the power did not come back on. So that's when all the septics and all this stuff started backing up. So they're stuck out here in the middle of nowhere. And they said that if you have to take a dunk, you have to take a dunk in these with these red bags, these biohazard bags. And there was a guy that they interviewed on there. He said he was able to not poop in 3 days to get till that ship got rescued, because he was like, well, one thing, I didn't have to poop. He goes, I survived 3 days without having to poop. I mean, this man said he just wasn't going to poop, and he didn't poop. But there's some people that had to poop, and man, there's shots where it shows women line dancing and stuff, and I was sitting there going, geez, man, I'll take one of these cruises because I love women. And I know some of them women on there ain't married. So I was sitting there going, wow, but I'm not taking a cruise. Anyway, it shows what they went through. So they had the smell got so bad that they had to start coming out of their cabins and stuff, and they had to start taking, it showed people bringing up mattresses from upstairs, and they had no power. So it was pitch black on this ship, on this cruise. So they had cell phones, but they had no internet, so they didn't have a connection to call people. So finally CNN got word of it because, CNN was like, this would be good ratings and stuff. And it showed how women had to stoop and they had to pee, and it had these biohazard red bags where they had to poop, and then they had to tie it up. And some of these women had to squat, and some of them said that there was literally some of them that was literally, it showed how some of them would wake up in their cabin and the water would back up. So it had water that had pee and stuff from all the manure that was coming up, and it was smelling real bad. So then all the people in the cruise had to go up, and they had to like put stuff on top of the ship, and they had to sleep outside. And so then, they were trying to figure out how to keep these people, livelihood up until they can get to tugboats to tug them in. And so there was another cruise ship that came by, but the cruise ship was the same size as that cruise ship, but they came by so close that they couldn't do anything because they knew that those people would stampede that cruise ship. So the cruise ship just came by and they all kind of stared at them and they're all like, help, help, you know. And then they was looking and they looked at that cruise ship and then they realized that cruise ship had cellular signals. Man, they all started getting out their phone, man, and they put their phone out and they had a signal, man. They started calling home and everything like that. And so one girl, she called her mom, and her mom finally heard from her daughter, and she was relieved. And everybody they realized that cruise ship had a signal, so that cruise ship got so close to them that they was able to get a cell phone signal. So they all started calling loved ones and people like that, and then the cruise ship kind of floated off because they couldn't do anything. Because they was on their cruise, but their cruise ship was fine. But they was dead in the water, man. This was entertaining. I wouldn't want to be in that situation because that would suck. But so anyway, to make a long story short, so what they did was they decided to open the bar and make drinks. And so that wasn't a good idea. Because people started drinking, and then they started getting in altercations, and they started fighting, and some people was like, I don't care, I don't, they was like, F this, F that, and, there was a couples on there, they was horny, and, they had their mattress with a little, sheet over it, and they was drinking. They said, screw it. They were in there just having sex. People walk by, and they, oh my God, they see other people like just getting it on because they just, they just couldn't wait, but the wind was blowing, and he's in there doing his girl and his wife. It was all, and this little girl was walking by. His dad was trying to keep her from looking at all this stuff. And there was one guy got so drunk, he just was like leaning over the guardrail and peeing and all that stuff. But anyway, to make a long story short, the helicopter came out there and CNN started covering it and stuff. So it got on the news. Y'all remember it. And then finally, it got tugged into, I forgot what port it got tugged into, but they had to get Mexico had to come out with their tugboats and tug them into America because Mexico was the closest place to them. So Mexico had to send their tugboats and tug the ship to the U.S. port. And, so Mexico had to come in and kind of get them back home with that big tugboat. So the tugboats was tugging that big, gigantic cruise ship to America, because when they seen the Mexican tugboats from Mexico, they came in and they were relieved because, the Mexicans had their tugboats because that's what they do. They were the closest one by. So, yeah, well, they probably, yeah, we'll take the car, So they took the car. So they're trying to get them back to America. So, but when you got a tugboat, I think it was 3 tugboats or 4, and they had to tug it all the way back to America. They finally got home and they was all happy and stuff. And then, it just shows how it was just telling personal stories. There was this guy, he was a cook. And then there was this woman, she was kind of like a woman that would call over loud, and she had a good voice. And, they got people on each ship like, we're going to do this today, and so on, so on, so on. So, and she's saying how she had to try to really work. And they did a good job, all those people on that boat. They did a real good job, man. I was watching this, and I was like, man, I said, Netflix again, I get that they're in a lot of hot water. I get it. That's why I'm making sure I put this in. I am fully aware. But this documentary is really, really good. It was a floating petri dish. Passengers and crew recall their they call their crazy time at the sea in this raw retelling of the great poop cruise accident of 2013. Because I remember when that happened. I really remember when that happened. Anyway, if you get a chance, check this out. I just thought I'd upload these on my channel because I hardly ever talk about stuff I watch on streaming services. Now, I do talk about stuff I watch on streaming services, but these are the ones that I've really been wanting to talk about, but I just ain't been around to because I'm always working out. I'm house cleaning. I clean the kitty litter. We finally got some rain here in Ohio, thank God. And we got a good soaking rain, praise the Lord. But, it is what it is. And sometimes I like to, put up this on my YouTube channel. I always wanted to take a cruise, but I ain't gonna take a cruise. I don't want to be I like people, but then I don't. And what gets me is deep down, I know I like people, but then I don't. I get up early and I wake up at 5 in the morning and go, oh, I gotta get my groceries. Walmart opens up at 6. So does Kroger's. And they open up at 6, and so does Kroger's. And sometimes I am out there in the parking lot like 2 minutes till 6. Now, I haven't done that in a while. I used to get there like 6:30, 7, but I get there early in the morning because there's no people. And usually when you go that early in the morning, you don't run into nobody. Not that I don't like nobody. It's just I can go in there, it's early in the morning, and there's people in there that's like me. They just don't want to be bothered with nobody. It's not like we don't hate nobody, but just got a little grocery list. We ain't got to deal with the crowd. We just go and get our groceries and check out. And I love going at the store at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's dark, but, you get there. Only people in there is people like you and the people that's stocking shelves. But, it's just... I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so that's why I was looking at cruises. Because I had said that I was telling somebody at work. I said, man, I always want to take a cruise. I said, but I see the size of that ship, and they're freaking huge. And I said, one day I was like watching a ship one day, and I said, man, that's a neat looking ship because they do a good job building them and stuff, and all the stuff they put on there. And I said, man, I looked at there. I said, dude, as big as that ship is, it was like wall to wall people. I said, even if I wanted to chill out and just sit on the deck, man, it was just, I said, man, it was like, I was looking at the camera. I said, there was people all around that deck. There was people all up on top. There was people all over here. There's people all downstairs. There was people. But that's what the cruise ship is for. It's for a lot of people to get on there and entertain themselves, It would get on my nerves. I'm just going to be honest with you. I would be like, I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I ain't being on no ship with that many people, man. I ain't going to lie, though. Me being a single guy, and I used to love women, still do. I'm just a little older now, just a little bit wiser. I ain't going to lie. Those women on that ship, man, I'd be scanning. I'm talking scanning like a big dog. Because I'll be like, dang, girl, I'll be trying to find out if they're married or something like that, because I'll be wanting to talk to them, So I'm like, well, I'm on this ship, man. I might as well have some fun while I'm there. I ain't gonna try to do anything, but if I can hook up with a girl and have fun while I'm on the ship, I'm not talking about sex, but just hang out with her and have fun, maybe just hang out and flirt and stuff, man. Because there'd be some girls on them ships, man, and I'm like, dang. So that'd be the only thing that would make me get on a cruise, because them girls on there, I see some films, man. There'll be some, all black, white, all kinds of nationality chicks on the boat. I'll be watching TV since like, dang, man, them girls that woman look, wow. They're in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s. And I'm sitting there going like this, and that cruise ship got a lot of people on there, if you catch my drift. That's what I'll be saying to myself. So, boy, man, I know what I'll be doing on there. I'll be talking. Because I could talk, but you have to get me going. You got to make me feel comfortable. So if a girl starts making me feel comfortable, I start feeling good about myself. What I'm saying about that is like I can start talking to her, and then I'll start having fun, and I'll start talking her head off. And if I think that I can hang out with her that night and have some fun just to get the days to fly by a little bit, then that's what I would do. I don't have to do anything with her, but I could be like, I had fun, man. She was cute. It was a nice 3 days. So, how many days cruise that you on? I think they're 3 days or something like that, or 4. But anyway, check this out. It's called Trainwreck Poop Cruise. God bless. We'll catch you next video. We'll see you.